Sebastian Gorka is still on deck here tonight in Washington. But next, the House Intel chair out this week with new details on Trump wiretapping allegations. A former Department of Justice national security lawyer is here with me live to break down what all this means to the investigation and the president. House Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes, he stirred up a hornet's nest this week when he announced he got his eyes on intelligence that indicated President Trump and his team were swept up in some sort of incidental surveillance activity after the November election. It was an explosive allegation that could lend credence to President Trump's tweets earlier this month, alleging he was spied on by President Obama. Here to talk about all of this with me is Carrie Cordero, former counsel to the U.S. Assistant Attorney General for National Security. All right, Carrie, let me see if I've got this right. First of all, we've got the president who took enormous criticism for suggesting that President Obama had wiretapped him. And I think that you and I can both agree that that may not have been the terminology that should have been used. It was too specific. You and I both lawyers, the president not. Can we agree on that?
Well, the president tweeted one thing, and then this week, Director Comey testified that what he had tweeted, there's no support
the question that I'm asking you is, as someone who's not a lawyer, is not as specific as you and I might be, since I have done wiretaps and you have engaged in them as well. And when you've got clappers saying that the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, that there is absolutely no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, that you've got people within the administration pushing back and saying there's nothing there. And then you've got Adam Schiff out there saying, oh, my God, Team Trump is in cahoots with the Russians. So we've got people within the administration who seem to have an agenda that is different from someone who is familiar with all of the intelligence. So what is going on here?
Well, there's a few things going on. First of all, there's 3 separate investigations going on right now.
Yeah.
Director Comey confirmed that there's an FBI investigation looking into Russian influence on the election, including whether that included any members of the president-elect's team. There is an investigation being conducted by the Senate Intelligence Committee that is ongoing and is being done in a bipartisan way. And then there has been an investigation being conducted by the House Intelligence Committee, although after Chairman Nunes's public pronouncements this week, the status of that investigation is in real question.
All right, let's talk about the fact that, you know, we've got now an awareness that there is the Trump transition team at Trump Tower that information was sucked up pursuant to, and I'm not going to get in the weeds here, and as a result of that intelligence or the information that was sucked up, people in Trump Tower, that apparently it had no intelligence value, none of it was related to Russia, and names were unmasked. The facts that names were unmasked in itself is a crime.
Okay, when you say information sucked up, what that means to the intelligence community is incidental collection.
Right.
So since the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act has been in place since 1978, there has been something called incidental collection, which is the collection of individuals who are not the actual targets of the foreign intelligence surveillance.
Right.
That is allowed, that is lawful, and there are procedures by which it's supposed to be handled.
I know. As a DA, I did wiretapping. There are procedures called minimization. We did it all the time. There's information that shouldn't be there, that shouldn't be given to a court or shouldn't be played for a jury. I get all that. It's similar. It's a different level. I understand that. But when it has no intelligence value, it's not related to Russia, it's gotten at Trump Tower, it's after the campaign, and the names of the individuals who are not being investigated are unmasked. And then, just coincidentally, President Obama, who we know hates Trump, decides that he's going to disseminate information among 16 other intelligence agencies, and then the names of those individuals are leaked to the press. I think these people should be indicted. That's a felony.
Okay, but Chairman Nunes made a public pronouncement this week alleging that there is something wrong that was done with the incidental collection and that the information wasn't handled according to procedures.
Right.
But that's not how congressional intelligence oversight is normally done.
I don't care about him. I care about felonies. I care about crimes. I don't care about Nunes. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, these intelligence committees, some of these other committees, they're political. Adam Schiff's running out and saying Team Trump's in cahoots with Russia, when the bottom line is that we got Clapper, NSA, FBI, CIA saying no cahoots whatsoever. So at this point, they all invalidate and neuter each other out.
But that point exactly. So, and in relation to Chairman Nunes' public statements this week, is why now there is even more calls for an outside, independent, either select committee in Congress or an independent commission
to look into. You know how long it took to get a select committee on Benghazi when 4 people were dead? And now, when we know this information, this incidental collection is after the election, with people whose names are being unmasked and disseminated all of a sudden by the Obama administration, like 2 weeks before he leaves. Come on, this is politics at its worst. But I loved having you here in Washington, Carrie, because I finally got to meet you. Carrie Cordero, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks.